all went, whoa!
As soon as I saw it, I knew it was a play of the game.
I didn't really see that until after the game.
So Marcus takes off on this run, and he's coming right at me.
It's tough to, as a football player to kind of stop yourself from doing something.
There's a good fun competition between the photographers. We all want the cover.
I saw the pictures afterward, which were cool.
I mean, I wish I could freeze that moment with my own eyes.
At that point, I have to decide whether I'm going to stay on him or I'm going to kind of transition. If he gets into the end zone, you've got to switch to a different camera with a shorter lens. And so I'm kind of undecided in that moment. About that time, he comes up to a defensive back and he hurdles him. And, he's just hammered down on the motor. And you just look at it later.
I was happy with what I had from my angle. I knew Brian Davies had a line on it from the other side, so I really wanted to see what he had.
So I had about 8 frames of him jumping over this guy, the whole sequence. But as I kind of went back and looked through the pictures, you could see this first picture as he's leaving the ground. He's got this Heisman pose. And just with the backstory of Mariota's Heisman campaign and this being the Civil War in the final game, and sort of this is when he's going to seal it, I thought it had some extra resonance. So
usually Davies downplays his stuff. So I got up there and I said, so how did that look from your angle? He looked up at me and said, like the cover shot.
Yeah, so I went in at halftime and I stuck that picture up, and the picture kind of developed a life after that. I could see even at the end of halftime that it was just constantly getting retweets. And so before I could even get out of halftime, I had SportsCenter ask me for permission to use it. And then also they wanted permission to run it on ESPN.
You see Brian Davies, Oregon Marcus Mariota, giving the Heisman pose there. It looked like it.
So great photographers capture those frozen moments that we wish we could do ourselves. And I think that's exactly what that image did. I think that we all went, whoa! And then when we saw the whoa on our third or second screens on Twitter or Instagram or the web, that's exactly the way I assumed it would look if I was standing on the field watching that play.
It's all kind of baffling, really, when you watch something kind of take off like that. By the next morning, people had kind of taken the picture and creating all kinds of different stylistic interpretations of that particular moment and what it meant to them, and it became a little kind of pop culture thing for a news cycle there on Instagram.
Social media lets us put our stamp and make what we see and what we do so personal. They take those images that they feel like capture that wow moment, and then they add their own personal stamp to it to say, this was my wow moment. Not just that wow moment, this was my wow moment.
It was obviously an indication that it meant a lot to people, that this was more than a picture for most people. It's interesting because it's kind of, I had this little sort of intersection with Marcus's wonderful career, and it meant some things to some people at that particular time, and that was enough for me. So.